Hello, it's Ash and welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'm really excited to share with you how I went from struggling to hit that half marathon distance or even get past the 10-mile distance to running many half marathons every single year now. So if you're about to start your first half marathon training plan, or if you've ever felt like that 13.1 mile distance is just beyond you, then stick around and watch this video. I've got 10 simple tips of how I went from struggling to get past 10-mile distance to then being able to, as I've mentioned, run many half marathons every single year. So 15 years ago, I struggled to get to the half marathon distance. I would get up to the 10-mile distance in my training, and then bang, I would get injured. And this happened not only once, but it happened 5 times. So I got to the point where I thought my body was not cut out for the half marathon distance. It just must be something about my body that, it's just telling me this is just too long for you. So I kind of put that goal on a back burner for a little bit, but then I kept revisiting it and I thought, actually, I can do this. And with these 10 simple steps, I'm going to show you how with perseverance and commitment, you can achieve your first half marathon distance as well. Now, for context, I was at that point where I thought my body was there's no chance that my body could run the 13.1 mile distance. I now regularly run many half marathons a year. I run very hilly trail half marathons, and so far in the first 6 months of 2024, I've run 10 hilly half marathons. And I don't say that to sort of show off. I say that to say, for context, I was at the point where I almost give up on the half marathon distance, and now I'm running many half marathons and many challenging hilly half marathons every single year. So it's absolutely attainable and we can achieve this goal. So the number one tip would be to gradually increase your mileage or your kilometers, whichever you're running, so that we are allowing our body to recover, but also adapt to the training stimulus that we are putting through it. And that is one of the things that when I reflect back on how I was running about 15 years ago, I would just make some quite big incremental jumps in the weekly mileage that I was running. So make sure you have got a gradual, slow, progressive increase in your mileage. It's not big spikes that are going to risk injury, and that's what does happen, is you will get injured if you're making big jumps up. So you can do that by, again, maybe recruiting a coach and getting yourself a coaching plan. That would be a fantastic idea. So that's number one. So number two kind of relates into the back of that, mentioning about the training plan. I would say number two is consistency. And consistency is a word that everybody uses. It's like consistency. Every coach says you've got to be consistent. And it's, well, what is consistency? Well, consistency looks like you are doing the same amount of runs. So maybe you're running 3 or 4 times per week on the same days at roughly the same time every single week. And what I've got with a few of my clients is they tend to miss some sessions, and then they think that cramming in that session, maybe they're like, I didn't do my run at my usual time yesterday. So what I did was I went at 10:30 p.m. and I got my run in then, and I've been doing that a couple of times, and that is not consistent. That is not allowing your body to be consistent and know where your body and your brain are expecting these runs. So make sure you've got your training plan, and then you are consistently 3 to 4 times per week. You are telling your body and your brain that this is when I run, and your body and your brain knows that. So you're not cramming in and adding extra layers of stress onto an already very busy, work and home life schedule that all of us do have. So be consistent at the same time every single week. And I know that some changes will have to happen because of work or home life, but try to be consistent every single week. So number 3 would be to fuel your body right before and after your runs. And this is something that's quite common, again, that I see with a lot of my clients, is that when they start to increase their mileage, they don't increase the amount of food that they are intaking. And it's a basic mathematical equation. As you start to increase your running volume per week, you are using and burning more energy. So you actually have to just slightly increase the amount of food that you are taking in, the amount of fuel, if you want to just break it down into those simple terms, the amount of fuel that you are giving your body. It is absolutely essential that we know how many calories. We don't want to get too caught up on calories, but know how much energy we are burning, and so that we are not like to the point where we are under eating, and then 3 or 4 weeks down the line we are getting an overuse injury because our body is not being able to recover properly, but because we are not getting the right nutrients into the body. So fueling is absolutely essential before and after your runs. Have a look as you start to increase your volume, your running volume. Have a look at how you can, again, with proper optimal nutrition, how you can just slightly increase the amount of energy you are also taking in, because you are burning more. And number 4 would be to make your body more adaptable. Now, you can make your body more adaptable through stretching. And how you can do that is making, again, dynamic stretching will help make your body function better. You can reduce tightness in certain areas. You can work on any little niggles that are starting to crop up in little tight spots. So with consistent stretching, you can make your body more adaptable. I didn't do any consistent stretching at that time in my life 15 years ago. I didn't even do any proper warm-ups as well. So I would go out, I would be at work, I'd come in, I would then put my running gear on, leave the house and go for a run, and then come back in, have my food or whatever, then go to bed. That was my simple routine. I didn't warm up and I didn't cool down properly, and I didn't have any daily stretching routine. So my body was not really adaptable. I was working in an office at the time, so my body was quite stiff and tight. And I know that might find some of you might find that hard to believe, because some of you comment on how flexible I am in my videos, but I was actually very tight around my back. I had a lot of issues in my left hip. I had some issues going on in my left hamstring, and I just sort of ignored them and thought that they would go away. So you can make your body more adaptable with a daily stretching routine, and also making sure that you warm up properly and making sure that you cool down properly as well. And then number 5 will be to strengthen the areas of the body that are common issues for runners. So we can start at the feet. So you can strengthen your feet. And this is something that I used to have problems with a lot, with my left side. And it was because basically I didn't do any strength training. So you can strengthen your feet. That's going to make sure that your big toe muscles are doing their job. The arches of the feet are doing the job. If you're doing single leg balance strength work, you're going to strengthen the lower leg muscles. So the shins and the calf muscles, you're going to make sure those stabilizing muscles are stronger and able to take greater forces. If you're working on strengthening your hamstring and your quads, again, they're going to be able to generate and create more force and power, and also take more force. Also, glutes, our bum muscles, we sit on them a lot and we do not use them and strengthen them enough. They are under-strengthened. So we can strengthen them. They help generate power, but they also create stability in the pelvis and for the lower back. We also need to work on strengthening the lower back to help prevent any issues in there as well. So common areas like that can be prevented, or common issues can be prevented by strength training. So 2 times a week you want to be strength training at least, to help you prevent any issues. And if you're not feeling injuries, that's a really good sign that your strength training is actually working. So don't just suddenly think, I'm not feeling any injuries, I don't need to do my strength training. Be consistent with your strength training. At least 2 strength training sessions per week is going to massively help you avoid those common issues like calf strains and plantar fasciitis and hamstring pulls, or maybe lower back issues. So number 6 would be to fuel your runs correctly. So this is slightly different to the fuel your body before and after, because as you're starting to, again, increase your distances that you're running, and maybe the intensity, if you're doing some interval training, your body may not be used to working for as long as that period of time. So then maybe, again, depending on your blood sugar levels, if you just come straight from work and you go straight into your warm up and then you run, maybe your blood sugar, maybe you didn't eat for a few hours and your blood sugar levels are quite low, and then maybe you start to feel a little bit lightheaded on your run, which I used to get quite a lot. I used to go out, and that's why I struggled a lot when I remember quite a few times getting to like the 8-9 mile distance and just being absolutely empty, like there's nothing there, just like feeling no energy, nothing left. I can barely kind of push further. And that was because I wasn't fueling my runs right. So you've got to fuel your runs right by looking at, if you've not eaten for 5 or 6 hours and you've been at work and then you go straight into your run, maybe just have a little bit of a banana, or maybe take a carbohydrate gel with you just to fuel that run, to give your body that blood sugar that it needs to get you through that run. So have a look at when you're starting to increase your mileage and when you're starting to do longer runs. Have a look at maybe starting to fuel your longer runs either on the run or just slightly before the run with a banana or some carbohydrate gels or something like that. Number 7 would be to work on your running form. Now, I probably say this a lot, and I will probably say it a lot as you watch some of these videos, is working on your running form is one of the things that has transformed my running. Because when you actually become aware of what is going on in your body, and you can sense and you can feel it, and then you understand how to change that because you've learned how to change it by working on your running form, you can self-coach. If you're feeling, actually, I'm a little bit, I've wandered off into my mind now, I've been thinking about work, and actually because of that, my attention has gone and my feet have started to get a bit heavy. I need to be a little bit lighter on my feet. So then you make that adaptation. Maybe because of that, again, that feeling about that thinking of work, is you've started to hunch and tense your shoulders a little bit too much, and you maybe clench your jaw. Just relax the jaw and relax the shoulders, let the arms swing a little bit more efficiently. Stop using that energy or wasting that energy from tensing the muscles in the jaw and the shoulders that you don't need to be wasting. So working on your running form, knowing what good running form is, and having technical sessions where you just, again, work on improving your running form will help you avoid injuries, but also it will just make you more efficient. So as you're using your energy, you will just be using it much more efficiently. And then number 8 would be to get proper fitted running shoes. Now I'm going to do a how to fit your running shoes video, because it's really important that I get a lot of clients, they haven't got a clue. And to be fair as well, when we think about elite runners, there's the famous story about Paula Radcliffe, the women's world record holder in the marathon distance. She ran pretty much her whole career running in the wrong size shoes. Her shoes were too tight. She had a lot of issues and pain in her feet, and I think she even had operations on her feet because of that. She was told to stop running. So having proper fitted running shoes is absolutely essential, and it's something, again, that why I got into minimalist shoes was on the back of my training for my half marathon. I actually recognised that my footwear was contributing massively to my issues. My footwear was too tight, it was squishing my feet and squishing my toes, deforming my toes, and wasn't allowing my foot to function properly. So I'm going to get into that in another video. I'm going to get a little bit deeper into that, but making sure that you've got the right toe space, making sure your foot can function as it's meant to. Whether you run in minimalist or cushion shoe is another video that I'm going to talk about. So making sure, as I mentioned, that your foot functions and you've got enough space, because we do want to be going at least a half size or a full size up in our running shoes compared to the normal shoes that we would wear. So that as we're running, there is the space for our foot to splay and spread out. And then number 9 would be to learn how to pace yourself. Something that is very difficult for runners is learning how to pace themselves. So as you start to increase if you say for instance, if you're regularly running at 5 kilometer distance and you know what a 5 kilometer feels like, if you jump up to over a couple of weeks, if you start to run in the 10 kilometer distance, you wouldn't run the 10 kilometer distance at your 5 kilometer pace, because it's not achievable. You need to, if you're going to be running longer, you need to run that little bit slower to get the distance. So as you start to increase the mileage or the kilometers, again, whichever one you run in, you need to understand that as you increase the distance, you need to be running that little bit slower so you can achieve the distance. Now you need to figure out where your pace currently is at for maybe your kilometer pace, maybe your 3 kilometer, maybe your 5 kilometer pace. Know what you can run at a set speed at, or your mile pace, for example, if you're running a mile, and then when you know what that is, and you know what your times are for the 3 miles or the 5k, whatever it may be, You can then just know that maybe I need to add on 10 or 20 seconds per kilometre or per mile, just to each mile or kilometre, to make sure that I can get that longer distance in, especially as we start to get up to that 13.1 or the 21 kilometre distance. Your 5k time will be quicker than your 10k time. Your 10k time will be quicker than your half marathon pace. And that's something that we need to get into the mindset of that. And that will help you, again, make sure you're more efficient, you're not burning out on your runs. So make sure you have that in mind. And then number 10 is to try and enjoy the process. And I got into the habit of almost seeing my runs and every single training run that I did as a chore, because it probably didn't feel that great. As I mentioned, I felt empty on some of my runs because I wasn't fueling them right. It felt a little bit painful because I was running the wrong shoes. It felt like I was having to cram all of these runs in because, I wasn't being consistent and I was neglecting my consistency. I wasn't fueling on before and after my runs as well properly, so I wasn't having the optimal nutrition, so my body just felt in between runs. My body didn't feel like it was recovering very well. So it all felt like a chore. So I want to try and encourage you to feel like you want to enjoy the process. Try and embrace the challenge of it and try and take all of these simple steps on and look at, well, actually, I can improve this and I can improve that, and enjoy the whole process of learning about this, about running a half marathon distance. You are going to improve your mental strength. You're going to improve your physical strength by challenging your body to do this. And also you're going to learn a lot of things about yourself along the way. So try and enjoy that whole process. So there you have it, 10 simple steps that helped me run my first half marathon, and hopefully they will help you run your first half marathon distance. And remember that everyone's journey is different, so something might work for you that doesn't work for me, but it's all, again, just learning and understanding. And that's the greatest part, as I mentioned at the end, the number 10 there, is enjoying that whole process of learning and understanding. If you found these tips useful, just give the video a thumbs up, or let me know in the comments. Just put thanks for the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I greatly appreciate all of your support. Thank you for watching this video, and I shall see you in the next one.